Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton Geoffrey with Adam Ross. As usual, we've got some special guests joining us tonight. And as always, we welcome you to get in on the chat and discuss whatever you want to talk about. How's it going, Adam?
You know how it's going. Why do you ask me these things?
Because I love when the roles are reversed, that you're the miserable guy, and I'm the guy who's just happy-go-lucky, chumming through life today, and you're like, "Grrr," at the world. I think it's intriguing. Did you get a Snickers like I told you had to have one today?
No, I took a freaking nap, and it still didn't help.
Yeah, see, naps work until you're about a man, and then after that, they just make you more angry when you have to get back up in the evening and continue on with more of the bullshit. But we want to welcome some great guests, Adam. We have some cool talk bits we're going to talk about. Without further ado, he's been on the line for a little bit. We'd like to welcome Paul Cole from Land of Legends Raceway. We also expect to hear from Rico Abreu possibly at some point, but you know the connection's a little bit sketchy between here in California. We did send him the info. He said he'd be here. We're also working on getting Andy Jankowiak. He is flying right now through the States, getting from one race to the garage, I guess. We'll talk to Andy next week, hopefully. And we got Dean Reynolds coming on from the Super Duper Car Series. So excited about tonight's show. First up, Paul Cole from Land of Legends. Paul, welcome to the show. Adam, as you know, we read the news this morning that Land of Legends is going to go free streaming. Paul, you know, we're proud of that because we've been streaming for a while, but, you know, how cool is that? And what led you to finally pull the plug and make this happen?
Well, you know, it's kind of always been on my plan, the radar screen, when I first opened over 4 years ago. This will be our fourth season coming up. You know, I already knew what Ashweekan was doing and watching the success that you've had with streaming live. So I kind of had to filter it out and figure it out. And we spent the last 3 or 4 years setting the stage. And right now is the time couldn't be more perfect. I've known right along that racetracks in general need to kind of rebrand themselves and find a way to get more fans involved. You know, if the track isn't doing things to get more people involved, they're going to die a slow death over time. And the prices will go up, and the amount of fans and things that happen, the tracks will disappear.
You know, and Paul, this is something that we've learned over time, and Clinton will be the first. Well, it'll be the second to tell you because I'm about to tell you first. Once you commit to doing it, 2020 was a big year for us. We had people approach us. You get to a point where people see what you're doing, and you know your product is good. When you can put eyeballs on it, get in touch with Clint and I after the show. We'll give you a couple of ideas. I mean, not tonight, but in the weeks to come, about how the numbers appeal to businesses because it is so visible. They can physically see who's tuning in to watch on a Saturday night. And as you know, it's called the Land of Legends for a reason. You've got a fantastic product.
Yeah, the best part is I had the product. You know, I knew that going in. We have some of the best racing in the Northeast and in the country. You know, big block modified racing is exciting, and our fans love it. The thing that I bring to the table is I originally was a sponsor. You know, here you see on my chest the Super Gen champion. You know, when I got involved in racing, it was as a sponsor. I needed to sell generators, and the marketing aspect of getting people watching my product and buying it is exactly why I did it. You can't buy radio ads anymore. There's no such thing as yellow pages anymore. The penny savers aren't going to work. You got to find new ways to get in front of people. And one thing that I think that a lot of Northeast tracks got away from was selling exactly what they're there for, is to put fans in the stands and put advertisers chasing those fans. And we're getting back to that model. And, you know, that's where the money in racing really should come from, is from the advertisers.
Paul, has there been any negative pushback about the idea? I know we certainly faced it in our neck of the woods. Any negativity towards this so far?
Nothing outwardly been said to me. I'm sure there's a lot of things going through the back channels. You know, people are nervous that we're going to, you know, basically giving racing away for free. Why go to the track anymore? I think that's contrary to, you know, thinking. You know, there's that. Yes, maybe race fans, a few of them might take a few nights off, but they also save that money up for those bigger shows and able to come out more when they're able to do that. You know, certainly the live streaming people out there that are selling pay-per-view, that puts a crimp in their business model. But for me, I own both ends of it. So where I bring the money into the track, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me. But I do know I need to bring in more fans, and continuing to do pay-per-view and only go after the pay-per-view clientele that are out there is just a short-sighted, slow death.
I'm of the opinion, and the United States has dealt with this pandemic differently than Canada has, so you have had some events with crowds, but I'm of the opinion as soon as they open the gates to allow people to attend live events again, I think there's just going to be a huge boom for live entertainment, for people to be able to get out of their houses and experience something and smell it and feel it and not have to look at it on a screen, which is what we've been doing for so long. Has that thought process entered your mind? Do you think there's going to be a rabid market for you?
There's going to be a couple different things. First off, we lost a lot of fans that went out and bought campers and boats and were doing other things other than going to racing that we have to fill back in. There's also going to be a rush of people getting back out into public. But it's never been the most ideal place to watch racing is not buying pay-per-view and watching it on TV. There's nothing like the smell of race fuel and the dirt, coming up in the air, being able to watch your driver instead of watching the whatever the camera's on. It's not a replacement. It's an added factor and an added bonus to be able to provide those things. When I initially got started, we put the Jumbotron in so we could get the fans in attendance the ability to see replays and see things on the screen that they missed. But more importantly, this was the long-term plan to really bring racing into the homes of people that didn't know they were going to enjoy it yet. And I'll give a tip of the cap also back to Glenn Donnelly. One of the reasons dirt modified racing really took off was This Week on Dirt back in the 80s. You had 3 or 4 channels to watch, and you could only watch those 3 channels. So if you didn't find the performance that was on one of the other channels, you might stop and watch racing for a while. And it built a lot of race fans in the 80s and really exposed a lot of drivers and advertisers, and probably brought the dirt model to the forefront long before we recognized it. So why try to reinvent the wheel?
Paul, you're 1,000% right. There's so many great aspects of what this is going to bring to your speedway. I'm super excited for you guys because we felt the same thing at our weekend over the past 5 years. And you're gonna find things like, for one, you're gonna have your regular fans whose mom gets sick or their kid's down with a broken leg and they can't make it to the track. They're going to be thanking you on Monday because they didn't miss out. I firmly believe in immersion. You have all your fans, even if they can't make it to you every night. So the guys who are maybe, racing at other places or getting ready, they're still becoming fans of you. It makes it a destination. There's so many great things of it. And now your race teams, even in the pits, are going to be watching it live. So when there's a wreck, they're going to be able to see what's broken on their car. Brings so much more dynamics to doing it live. I also have always preached that our sport needs as many eyes on it as I know you believe the same thing. And I firmly believe there's no way the NHL or the NFL would be as big as they are if they just tried to build it off of pay-per-view. We need to give the sport away, let everybody see it, find the corporations to pay for it the same way the Major League Sports do, and it's going to take us to new places. And I think it's amazing for you guys to get that done. Now, let's talk about COVID year versus non-COVID year. We spoke to you a few times last summer about your issues dealing with the New York State government and getting races together. This is a plan going forward regardless of the virus situation. Is that correct, Paul?
Correct.
Awesome.
That was a long question, Clint. I'm not one to judge, but that was a long way to go.
I know.
We're not backing off from racing for 2021. Fans or no fans, we're hammered down. The streaming's going to do fine either way. We're going to have viewers. Advertisers are going to show. I'm not concerned about what it looks like for 2021. Fans will be back in the stands. They just had, how many fans at the Buffalo Bills games. We're going to have a percentage of fans, if nothing else. And we're just not going to look backwards. We're going to continue to look forwards and bring racing into the next decade.
What are you most excited about for this year, Paul?
I'm most excited to get fans back. First off, there's nothing more frustrating than watching a race by yourself. I mean, we watched some of the best. There's some of the best races that happened in the 58, 57 years previous of Canandaigua Speedway this last year, and other than some video on it, there's still not that great emotion of watching a guy get out and winning his first race. That emotion that comes with in the adrenaline push really needs to be brought back. I'm just as excited to watch the rebirth of racing, with this new model. We're gonna bring a lot more new people to our product, and try to make sure that this is an enjoyable place to be. The Land of Legends is not always about the racing; it's about the stories that go with it, and the stories might be the person you meet in the next bleachers. It might be the hot dog that you enjoy. There's so many different things that happen at a racetrack that are not just about the racing. But the great thing is we have great racing, and our goal is to get it in front of millions of eyeballs instead of thousands.
You talked about stories and such. You started off the first racing story of the year with The Hangover, Double Shot. You brought Tanner Robinson on as your staff. Let's talk about those aspects for a moment or two, Paul. First off, adding Tanner to the fold, and also how the Hangover race went for you guys.
The Hangover was a lot of fun. We, unfortunately, the weather didn't help us much. We needed a nice, cold, hard track, and oddly enough, the Northeast and the region of New York, we didn't get that. But we looked at the schedule and looked ahead and said that there's really not any way to hold out. It's just we had to go, and actually we had so much good time. So many drivers and fans, and same thing. We got a sponsor and we put that out for live streaming, covered by the sponsor. We doubled our paper, our Land of Legends subscribers in one day just by giving that away. And bringing in Tana, she's a great fit. She's been at a lot of tracks. She's got a lot of experience in marketing and understanding the nuances of managing a racetrack. There's a lot of little things you have to think on the fly with. All of a sudden rain hits. A bee's nest. A swarm of bees lands in the grandstands. Just crazy things happen. And being able to respond quickly to make that experience for our sponsors and for our fans and for our drivers is all important, and we're happy to have her.
It's all about good people. Well, it's about a lot of things. It's the full package. But Paul, talk about how important that is to have people in the right roles to make things run right. And I mean, it means everything from the people who greet your fans at the front gate all the way to the last tech person or payout person that the drivers see before the end of the night.
It's the most important thing for me. The product is not me. The product is the people. And the product is the people that invest their heart and soul into racing at Canandaigua. The tech guy takes passion. The people that work the pit window, they have passion about meeting the drivers and making sure they get in and have a good experience. The people cooking want to make sure the food goes out great. And the one thing that I can't do is be all those people. I have to trust each and every person that they're doing the right thing. They're doing it for the right reasons, and they take pride in their work. And I seldom will you find me actually talking to many of the workers other than to have fun. They have a job. I let them do their job, let them make the decisions. If we have to work on something, we talk about it later. We talk it offline. And, we have very little turnover for that reason. I spend a lot of time looking for the right people to be there. I treat them like family because that's what I would hope they would get back from me, is that, they invest their time in their Saturday nights and their passion for a paycheck, but they also do it because they love the sport. And that for that reason, I love them back the same way.
Paul, where can people find more information about the Speedway, your free stream package, your schedule, and anything else they might need to know about Land of Legends Raceway in Canandaigua, New York?
So our website is landoflegendsraceway.com. When the live streaming goes live, which it's available now, it's landoflegendstv.com. That will be adding Roku and Fire Stick apps as well. They'll come up just in time for race season. We have our app. On Apple or Google or Android, you can download the Land of Legends app. That's available. That's a good place to get notifications of rainouts, the lineup changes, the lineups themselves that night. Even when the grandstand or you're away, you'll be able to get results and updates there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Land of Legends Raceway, and our schedule, we start April 24th. We have 3 Super Dirt Series races that I see you guys talked to Dean a little while. They'll be there to visit us 3 times, once in July, once in August with Watkins Glen Week, and then in September for the Jerry Harris Memorial. We have ESS and Patriots each for a night this year. We run 305 sprint cars in the CRSA series all season long, and street stocks, hobby stocks, and of course big blocks and sportsmen for dirt car. And we're in for another big season of high flying racing and great coverage on Land of Legends TV for all those people around the world. And I literally say around the world. I know we have people that watch from Philippines and Japan, and from Germany and Thailand, Australia, and all across the Northeast, and of course all the way down the East Coast, where people have moved away from modified country, but can't wait to see it every week.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Paul. Sorry, Adam. I was just going to say, Paul, in closing, one last thing. I saw a comment today on your live stream pod thing you did with Steve Ovens this morning. You know, I saw a couple people come on there and comment about how great the staff was, and myself as a manager of Ush Weekend, that's people can tell me the racing's great, but when they tell us our staff treat them amazing, that's a better compliment than anything. So, you know, we wish you the best. We'll be here cheering along, and we're gonna do our best to promote the hell out of this for you, because I know it's the future. I'm glad to see you guys coming along for the ride, and it's gonna be awesome for you guys. We know it.
I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get up to Ush Weekend and enjoy some racing in Canada. You know, get some good Canadian beer and enjoy a night out away from a racetrack. You know, that's one of the fun parts about being in racing is when you go someplace else, you learn something. And if you're sitting there waiting for things to happen and just riding it along, you're not going to get anywhere. We're looking forward to the future. You know, I've been watching This Weekend for a while. I just got to go up there and now see it in person and enjoy what we do. And again, the other thing about staff and staff. When you want to sell a racetrack eventually, I'm not going with it. You know, it's got to sell and operate on its own. So otherwise, if you stay there, you're that operation, and that's not selling a racetrack. That's just selling equipment.
Yep, for sure, Paul. All
Have
the
a great
best.
night, guys.
Makes a lot of. Yeah, have a great one. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Adam, I think it's amazing. You know, you and I don't need to show it. I think you know, we're seeing it this week, even if you're watching the MAV TV Plus situation going on, where it's Lucas Oil Racing TV changing over to MAV Plus. They've been giving away the Lucas Oil late models this week. We've been watching it. I think a lot of new fans are going to discover late models this week without the subscription requirement and get hooked on it. I think it's amazing.
You know,
super pumped.
Let's have that chat a little bit with our next guest. Like, I know there's a lot of things we'll want to cover, but he is a savvy businessman.
Yeah, Spencer, bring him on as soon as you got him, and we're ready. We're just trying to dial up Rico Abreu from California here. We got a lot of things we want to talk about him. If you have any questions or comments you want us to get out there, I'm not sure if I missed any there, Adam, with Paul. Shrek wanted us to ask him who his hometown drivers were, but, I mean, you got the best of the best at Land of Legends every Saturday night. You know, you can't
Matt
beat
Shepard, obviously. Yeah, Matt Shepard is the biggest name there. Now, I don't know who's announced where they're going to be racing when drivers do move around, but if you ever notice this, Clinton, it always balances, right? When Brett Hearn decides, okay, I'm leaving Lebanon Valley on Saturday nights, this year I'm going to race Orange County Fair Speedway. Someone else goes to Lebanon Valley because Brett Hearn is not there, right? There's always, it's a self-leveling kind of deal.
No, so true. Nobody really gets piled on at one or the other. And, you know, Canandaigua and Land of Legends have had a great field of cars for many, many years, and hence the name Land of Legends, because they all race there. Let's bring our next guest, Adam. Rico Abreu is going to join us all the way from California. Rico, so cool to have you here. Thanks for getting through the technical gremlins to be with us here tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that. Thanks for having me on.
Rico, great to see you again. How Man, talk about Chili Bowl. How frustrating does a full week of building up to just everything going your way, and then when it doesn't, how hard is it to keep that smile on?
Yeah, I mean, it was, there was a few down moments there at the end of the race, but I felt like we went in really strong that week and we won our prelim night and we put ourselves in contention to win. And this year, just with the track conditions, it made it really difficult to advance your position. And I was able to run in the top 5 majority of the race and then, ended up with a flat tire right at the end.
Rico, how was the Chili Bowl different this year with the COVID limitations and restrictions? What the atmosphere, obviously, with the reduced amount of fans, must have been different. Did you feel it from the competitive side?
Not so much on the competitive side. There was a few cars that didn't come that I thought would have been there, but other than that, the same competition kind of that we compete against every year was there. On the fan side, obviously there was a limitation in fans really, really strict about mask wearing. We've seen some people eliminated from the building that didn't want to cooperate and wear a mask, which it was really easy to wear masks. So they were allowing people to wear, these little face shields that mostly probably didn't even do anything. So other than that, I thought it was a great event. The Chili Bowl is one of the most prestigious events of the year, and I look forward to getting back every year.
Rico, let's talk about your race team and let's talk about social media.
Okay.
I like to think that I don't get fooled by this stuff, but once in a while, I can't make sense of what is real and what is not. How much fun did you have posting that you had been released from Rico Abreu Racing and the shitstorm it created?
It was quite unique. How we announced some of the announcements I had. Kind of an announcement and about an announcement, and then we had the real announcement. So 3 really, really cool opportunities for me going forward on one, Jack Cottonchild racing my car a few races this year in his final year of full-time sprint car racing. And then obviously the announcement about me racing the Works Limited 57 that I announced with Paul Silva will be the crew chief, and kind of getting the opportunity to race with Paul Silva again, and how special that is for me, to race for 5 years with Paul Silva and then get away from racing with him and understand a little bit of racing and for myself, and understand who I am as a race car driver, a team owner, and a business manager for everything that I got going on. So to have Paul back working on, or for me to be able to race a car that he's working on is really special for me.
How does the Jason Sides work into this deal, Rico? That was announced earlier today or yesterday. We started reading that out, and it was like, wow, if there's any week to talk to Rico, this is the week to talk about it. How's that deal come together, and what's your role in that situation?
Yeah. So I'm really good friends with Jason Sides. I've always been. I wanted to help with his racing, maintaining his level of racing out on the World of Outlaw Tour, be a part of his team. There were some things we structured internally for his team to help him perform and sustain, at that level of competition on the World of Outlaw Tour. And then it will allow Jason to sell merchandise at all the majority of the World of Outlaw races now. And that's another form of income for him that he's that really like to see. So, there was a few different strategies that we worked on to help him stay out on the World of Outlaw Tour.
And most importantly, Rico, how the hell did Weber Valley get involved in your announcements?
I am not sure. I think that was all kind of separate on their end. It was really, really cool to see and them be kind of a part of it. And they just kind of chimed in, and everyone kind of fell for their announcements as well.
Rico, we reached out to you back before Christmas, just trying to figure out, you guys were touched by the fires up there. let the fans up here know. A lot of people had questions about how it was affecting you after we saw your video. You know, how did that change things at the farm?
Yeah, man, it's just a whole different perspective here with the fires and coming right into our backyard, and we were kind of held the fort down and saved part of our land and our buildings where my father's valuable wine and assets are for his company. So very, very scary situations, and we were able to have some really, really good people around us to help fight the fires. Fire is a very deadly tool that Mother Nature can make things really difficult on people with. But you have to respect why things like that happen and understand that everyone in our side of the family and industry was safe, and we were able to start our rebuilding process.
What's sad, Rico, people see posts, we see it in the news when there's these horrible fires. But once it's gone from the news, people in our area in Ontario, we've moved on from it. We're on to our next big news of the week. Talk about how devastating it still is and how long the rebuild process is and what the future is like.
Yeah, it's scary to go and see the damage that it did in our valley and the wineries and the homes, and for people to lose everything that they have worked their whole lives for. It's just I don't really know how to explain it, honestly. It's it's everyone's a big family here in our community, and we're able to work together on rebuilding, I guess, and just staying together and strong. And it's really cool to see everyone work together.
All right, couple questions here, Rico, from our fans.
Yeah.
They want to see the dog.
I know. I'm babysitting today. But here's our puppy Gus. We just got him last Wednesday. He's 8 weeks old, I think. 1 second here. Let me turn the camera around. Oops. Here we go. I'm trying here. So this is Gus. We're trying to potty train him, which is a lot of work. But Gus is learning how to be potty trained, and he's learning how to sit and stay. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been fun.
It's awesome. Another question from one of our viewers says, I've noticed Rico at our weekend and other races. He's always up the trackside inspecting the surface. What does it look for, and why does it help him?
I think when I go out there on the racetrack, it's more so time for me to just get some alone time and some time for me to break down kind of what I got going on the racetrack, and to understand how the track develops throughout the race, and if they were to do any work on the track and how quickly it changes, and I think it's just having some time to myself out on the track more so, and just to think, process what my race car is doing and what I need for it to do better.
Have your goals changed much, Rico, since you made this announcement, the change that's coming up? Do you raise the bar for yourself, or did you already have the bar set pretty high for 2021?
I've always had the bar set pretty high. Like I need to win. I need to win races and be competitive at every race. My ultimate goals are to just be running a successful race team that, that can fund itself without my family putting money into it for the most part.
Rico, let's talk about how the notoriety might have changed you at all. In the past few years, your level of fame in the racing world has gone through the roof. Do you ever wish you could just hide out, or are you still loving every minute of it?
I love every minute of it, man. I love the race fans. I love the people around sprint car racing. So a couple teams contacted me to run some NASCAR races, and I just have zero interest, man. I want to be a sprint car guy, and that's where I feel most comfortable in my life.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I have so much respect Some of the best names in the world in dirt racing and sprint car racing moved on to the next level. And we've had conversations with them here, and they regret wasting good, profitable years that they could have been doing well in dirt cars because they tried to chase something bigger that turned out wasn't bigger at all.
Yeah, I think it's just about following kind of your dream steps. And I went to and did that stuff, and I was, I just wasn't. It wasn't the place for me at the end of the day. And there's no negativity to it. And on my end, I wouldn't be the person I am today without experiencing that stuff. I think the biggest thing is I've found something that I really love to do, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, Rico, a couple of quick rapid-fire questions, and we'll let you get out of here. Fans want to know, dirt on Bristol. Are you going to get to race there? Are you excited about that?
I'm going to run the World of Outlaw portion of it, yes, and I'm really excited.
Will Rowdy be on the sprint car this year?
I don't think so. I think that they I would love them to be, and I'm open for discussion, but there hasn't been any conversation since Chili Bowl.
What's your next race?
My next race will be Las Vegas with the World of Outlaws. I'll be in the Works Limited 57, and Jack Audenchild will be in the Rico Abreu Racing 24 sprint car.
Awesome. We appreciate your time.
I like the way your eyes. I just love the way Rico's eyes lit up when he mentioned Jack Audenchild. That's how a dirt racer's eyes should light up when you talk about Jack.
Yeah, I want Jack to win. He's ready to win. We're all ready to see him win.
Awesome, Rico. We appreciate your time. Good luck with the puppy there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks. Rico Abreu joining us here. Adam, always good to see. Is there a better ambassador for our sport than Rico Abreu?
If there is, I don't know who it is. Amazing energy for it. He's well-spoken. He had the opportunity to say how he feels about NASCAR. He even framed that in a way to not throw any shade on them. Just keep the positive light on dirt sprint car racing, because that's where his heart is right now, and I think that's pretty darn cool.
Just for our Schweeken fans, we had a standing agreement with Rico to get him up for the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals last year. That never happened. You can bet the door's still open, and as soon as we can find a date that works for all of us, once the borders open up, we'll definitely have Rico and his team up to compete back here in the north as soon as possible. So we're excited about that. Just waiting for Dean Reynolds, our next guest, to join us here, and we'll jump into Dean Reynolds. It's been kind of a rapid-fire show tonight, Adam. We've had some great guests. I personally love these types of shows as the hour flies by, and it's been good. And without further ado, take it away, Adam. We got Dean.
Dino,
how's it going, guys?
Good to see you. Good. Great to see you, man.
I did a show yesterday for Speed 51 for the Sportsman race that I'm going to tomorrow. Kyle Larson followed me, and now I get to follow Rico. How cool is this?
You're in some pretty good company.
Not bad at all. You've paid your dues, though, Dean. You've been in the business at least 4 or 5 years.
Well, I'm glad I found some time for those guys so they can, get their showcase to the fans what they want to do.
Dean, you picked up the reins of the Super Dirt Car Series and Dirt Car Northeast a little over a year ago now, if my math strikes me correctly, and you had to guide it through probably the most challenging year the sport's ever seen in the modern era. Let's talk about how your year went and how are you still surviving?
Well, I actually did have 2019. I did run a full year because I took the job in 2018. But Clinton, as you know, who would ever thought the year would be like it was? Even you with weekly deals with the track and touring with the Action Sprint Tour. Even though you got some more races in up there, it was still different with no fans. You had to rely on sponsorship help. And I tell everyone, last year I scheduled between Dirt Car and ESS, I scheduled 120 races and I got 5 in. And it's just, who would have thought that year? But we're going full bore this year and getting ready to go to Volusia, South Carolina, then Volusia. And let's hope the border opens up and we can all have fun together.
We've alluded to that a couple of times, Dean, but you being from central New York where you are, how often does that enter into conversation? How big a deal is it that Canadians right now can't come down and support events on your side of the border?
Canadian fans and competitors are huge. I mean, bigger than people think, even on both sides of the fence for me, dirt car and ESS. Matter of fact, when we were trying to decide what to do with Oswego and how many competitors we're going to have and all that, believe it or not, over 20% of our field at Oswego is Canadian competitors. And that weighed a lot into our decision whether to run Oswego or not, because we know we weren't going to get them. And, a lot of Canadians treat that as a big holiday, their vacation. And, it all culminates with not running series races in Canada and then having the big end of the year party at Oswego. For lack of a better term, it just sucked.
Yeah, it definitely did on both sides of the border. We couldn't have a lot of our big races for the same reason. The border is still going to dictate where we are now. What are the bosses in North Carolina down there telling you, Dean, these days? What's the thought process inside Dirt Car headquarters as far as how to proceed with scheduling the big events and the series as they sit as of today?
Well, as you know, Clint, we got a full schedule out for Super Dirt Car Series because you have to. You got to plan because you just don't know when anything's going to change. Like, who knows? Who knew Buffalo Bills were going to allow to have fans, and all of a sudden, a flip of the snap of a fingers, boom, they're allowed fans. So you go full bore, but you always got to have a plan B now. Where last year no one had a plan B because we never thought this was going to happen. So we do know Can-Am's going to be tough. We're supposed to start April 10th at Can-Am. We're going to get Volusia in because Volusia's allowed fans, full fans, but it's non-points, but we're going to run that. So Can-Am, we're already looking to do maybe a makeup date later in the summer because Can-Am needs the border open. They're that close to Canada. A lot of fans come there, a lot of competitors. To fill that place, we need to get the border open. So we're probably looking to move that later on in the year. Bristol looks like we're going to have no problems working there. We are limited to 25% fans, but 25% of 160,000, that's still a good number to have. So we're going to have Bristol. We're probably going to have a limited car count, which we're going over right now, unfortunately, for safety reasons, because we're going to be parking in the infield. So that's things that we got to go over now. But then you get Bristol in. So at least we got the start. We got the series started. We got 2 shows in. Hopefully with the weather good. Then we come to Memorial Weekend, where we come to Weedsport and Lebanon Valley. Let's see what we're allowed for fans. And then maybe if we're not allowed fans, maybe that might be something where we'll do a joint venture or a leasing program like we did for Oktoberfest. Maybe we can run those 2 races because Howie Commander and Al Hinkey and Jimmy Phelps and Lyle DeVore are great partners of Dirt Car. So I'm sure we can sit down at the table and see what we can do there. It's not set in stone. It's just ideas. Then that brings us to the end of June for our next series race, and let's go from there. Because our goal is to get the series going this year because we want to pay a point fund. We want to give these guys money.
Well, and I mean, so many people, and Clinton and I have had this conversation week in and week out since last March, the need to go racing, the need for people to make sacrifices to make it happen. We don't have the challenge, Dean, that you do, in that many of your drivers, crew members, they rely on dirt car racing to make their living. That's what they do for a career. So, at some point, what has been the talk from those type of people in the industry to say, okay, this was fun for a while. We did what we could, but we've got to get back to racing for money the way our business model is set up.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head, Adam. When you talk, Matt Williamson, Matt Shepard, Eric Rudolph, Peter Britton, Mike Mahaney, they all race for a living now, or pretty much race for a living. And while they got through last year, and they got through okay, they ran 1/2 to 60% of the schedule they had planned, but the races that they were missing are the high dollar races, the one they really need. And, they all said to me, they don't know if they can go through another year like that. They need the race. They need the race for some money. Our situation's a little bit different. You notice Brett Dale can schedule some races down south and do whatever. But when we have sanctioned tracks that give us sanctioned fees, we really can't do that. We can't take the series and move it around to non-dirt car sanctioned tracks that much because that doesn't give a good impression to our dirt sanctioned tracks. So we need to do it in New York. We need to do it in Canada. And, I see a light at the end of the tunnel this year? I do, because, allowing fans at the Buffalo Bills games is huge. Even if it's 20%, we can still get these racetracks to get going. We had 5 or 6 tracks run weekly in New York, but they had the benefit of high car counts because the other tracks didn't open. Up in Canada, you kind of saw how they work together on different weekends so they can get car counts to stay afloat. But can we do that again? We just don't know. It's still a big unknown. Last year was a big unknown, but Adam, you're right. These teams that have a full-time crew member or race for a living, they're going to need some high dollar paydays. We raised the purse of Volusia. We announced that today, so hopefully that helps. And let's see if we can get these guys some money back in their pockets.
Dean, I got a few questions. I was scribbling down there while we were talking for the last couple of minutes. Adam, give me a second if I can, and I'll bust through these quick thoughts. First off, Bristol. We want you to talk about how cool that is to be going there, Dean. But first off, you mentioned car counts and you're limited. What's the limitations? How are you deciding who's going to get to race at Bristol? And again, to part A of that question, how cool is it?
Well, right now, because they're parking us in the infield, the infield actually only has 90 spots. They have 90 12-foot by 90-foot spots. So for our weekend, the sprints are limited to 40 and we're limited to 45. How we're going to go about the picking process, we're actually discussing that now. I know I'm probably going to get some people mad at me. I hope they understand. The platinum teams, of course, have to get the first dibs because they are running for the series. And then we got to decide after that. But I don't want to say how we're going to decide yet because we really haven't come to a decision on that because we just learned that when I went down to Bristol last Thursday. Now, if the sprints don't fill their 40, we're allowed to add to our car count. The reason why is for safety. Bristol's not that easy to go across the racetrack. There's only one gate in turn 3, and it's not that wide. So for safety and for the show, quite frankly, to run smooth, we need to park all the competitors in the infield and just go from there. So we'll get the logistics of that down. We'll get it to go, and then we'll make it a good show. But cool. Now that I've been there, I've never been there before. This is amazing. I mean, when we announced it, and I kind of knew we're planning on trying to get this done 2 months before, but it was still in negotiations with Brian Carter and everyone down at the office. But really what I tell people, you have Daytona, you have Indy. What's the next track you talk about? And that's Bristol. And we're bringing the Super Dirt Car Series there. And to see the work, we had a 8-hour meeting with them. To what they're doing to the racetrack is just amazing. They got graders out there with GPSs. They are going to make the banking exactly 19 degrees of banking, of grade. So for them to do that, they got to put almost 7 feet of clay on the inside of the track to take that banking out. So that wall that you see on the inside of the track is going to be covered totally in clay, and then they're going to put a wall on top of that. So the lights that you actually see on the inside won't even be used because they're going to be covered up. But that just shows you the work that they're doing. And I don't know the proper terminology, but the guy told me 20,000 cubic foot of clay or something like that. And I can't even comprehend that. So, but
sounds like a lot.
That's how much detail. Yeah, that's they're getting it from a mountain actually across the street. Whoever thought clay would be in a mountain? Go figure that. But the guy told us, see that mountain over there where we're getting the clay? It's going to be 16 foot shorter when we're done. A mountain, wow. 16 foot shorter. So
can't they get it from the bottom of the? It'd be easier to get it from the bottom than the top, I would think.
I'd never heard clay being on top of a hill. They got lucky. They were shopping around. They went to 8 spots to get the clay, and they take it out to get it done in lab. And one spot they found 25 miles away that was 70% clay. Then all of a sudden, the guy lives literally across the backstretch. Says, "Hey, I heard you're looking for clay." He goes, "My whole backyard has some." And he goes, "That hill's all filled with clay." So they took a sample out and it was 76% clay. We found our clay, and it's right out back.
It sounds great, Dean. I do have concerns. When I hear about all this technology and GPS graders, I would still feel better with some old dude sitting next to the racetrack who's been doing it for many, many years and have him work the track, if that makes any sense. Like an Eric Kingsley, it's great that they have that fantastic equipment. You still need wisdom. You still need someone knowledgeable to put it all together.
Well, we have offered all of our staff, Larry Fink, Eric Fink, Rob Platfoot, because it is a joint venture. We're doing it half and half with Bristol. I said this, we're the last weekend, so they got 3 weekends to go before they get to us. They're going to start with the Dirt Car Nationals there, where they're going to find out how the clay is. They got 1,200 cars entered for that one. Then in 2 weeks comes the Cup weekend. Then in 2 weeks comes the late models and the up modifieds, and then 2 weeks after that's us in the sprints. So by the time we get there, it should be good. But we have offered all our equipment. We have offered all our expertise. They know it's there. It's a phone call away, and we'll see what happens on that. But I know what you're saying, Adam, but a lot of people are saying, how are the cars going to run the track with the speeds and the banking? But they want to make that track hard. They want to make it slick. What I do as an analogy is Eldora truck slick. And while for fans that might slow it down or whatever, I get that, but it makes it safer, it makes for better racing. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely. We just had Paul on from Land of Legends. They've announced they're going to start streaming their product every week at no cost. What are your thoughts on that, Dean?
I think he copied Clinton Adam, didn't he?
There's no Adam there. I'm just a sidekick. But
well, guys, it's funny because Paul talked to me about that last year, and what you guys did at Oswego is where it came from. Clinton, I think he talked to you about that and how it worked, and it's a big risk, yes, financially, but he is right. When you do pay-per-view for money, the only people that buy that are racing fans. So those are people that are going to come to the races anyways. How do you bring new fans to your sport? You got to showcase it for free. Why your football games are on TV, baseball games are on TV. Yes, you do pay for your cable package, but in essence, all of them are free. And you remember, you used to have to buy ESPN for, $20 a month, to get these sporting events. But why is ESPN all part of the same cable packages now? And Paul is going to do what, Oswego did and, try to entice new fans. And the only way to do it is free TV. And, he's getting sponsors out of it. And it's a bold move, but I tell you, I think it's the right move.
Yeah, we're quite confident they're going to be all right up there. I mean, we've seen it. As I explained to their announcer, Steve Ovens, who's a friend of ours, and that's how it all got started. We started bringing Steven in to do our iRacing stuff, and we built a relationship there, and they started poking around and asking what we thought. So we told them, yeah, man, I was all for it. I said, do it. It can only be good. So I told Steven today, a lot of the dinosaurs of the industry aren't going to like it, but they're going to have to live with it. And secondly, at our Oswego, our attendance is up 10% year over year. So is that because of live streaming? We can't say that, but what we do know is it's not kicking our ass to the point that we're worried about it yet. And I think it's the biggest thing they could do. It's going to be big for racing in New York State. Another question that came in, Dean, you mentioned the Short Track Super Series. Talk about your relationship and the priorities that come into play when you start planning with regards to the Short Track Super Series and what's going on there with Brett Deo and his series.
Well, unfortunately, there's really not much dialogue between me and Brett, and that's however why I'm not going to get into that. It's not a big deal. But do we both look at each other's schedules? Yes, we do. I look at his schedule. He looks at our schedule. We try the best not to schedule races against each other. But when he has as many races and we have as many races, and, sometimes like Memorial Weekend this weekend, I got an opportunity to run 2 high-dollar shows back-to-back, which – he's actually had his show for the last couple of years, but I got to do what I got to do. Do we want our guys to make, especially the ones that race for a living, race for some of those purses? Yes. There's a couple of big shows that, he is now scheduled, but he's put them on weekends where we've always run races. And, what do we do there? I mean, we just, we go and we do our own thing, and we have to do our own thing because we can't say a track that's been holding a race or a weekend that we had for years, say, well, we're not going to do it because there's a big show here. He does the same thing. He runs a race directly against Super Dirt Week. He's been doing it for 12 years. It's worked well for him. Matter of fact, he used to call it the Syracuse Alternative. And he just did it for guys that couldn't afford to go to Syracuse. He continues to run the race. It's in direct conflict with Super Dirt Week, but that's what it is. But the bulk of the schedule, 90%, is non-confliction, and the guys can pick and choose. But when it comes down to the conflicting races, he's got his tour regulars that will run for points. We got our platinum guys that will stay and run for us, and but it'll still be good for the fans. They'll see enough races with enough stars.
And that's Dean, there needs to be some level of competition. You can't be the only show in town. It makes you soft. So in that regard, it's kind of fun to watch people race out of Super Dirt Week on Saturday to get to wherever the show is. And they're back Sunday to be part of the big show. So you're getting the best of both worlds, I think.
Well, and I got that with ESS too, because the Patriot Sprint Tour came in and ran ESS. But there's room for two. There's room for two. It's like, we got a sportsman race in South Carolina that we actually planned in August, but we didn't announce it because we just didn't know what was going to happen with Charlotte and the world short track and with the COVID. And then Brett decided to move his Sunshine Swing up a weekend earlier, probably because that's where he could lease the track at Bubba's, because they do run USAC and late models later. But that put the two sportsman shows in direct conflict. But there's 900 sportsman cars. I think we both can find 30 to go to each.
Dean, you mentioned the Patriots and ESS. What's the news there for the sprint car fans up here? And, for Empire Super Sprint fans, what news, what's happening in that world?
Well, me and Mike are both in kind of the same boat. We put out a schedule. I put out a really good 26 race schedule with ESS, but with our purse and us being an added attraction to the tracks, we need fans. The tracks need fans. Clinton, you've done a great job and the other tracks to get some 360 shows run up in Canada. But as you know, that was all sponsorship help, and that was great. And I got those guys some places to race and get their cars out. Down here in the States, I only got one race in because Can-Am in July happened to have fans because there was an injunction with some of the executive orders, and Can-Am rolled with it and had fans, so I got a show in. Mike got a couple shows in Pennsylvania where they had open fans. I'm not looking to go to PA with ESS because I get along with the guys from URC very well, and I feel I've gotten asked by some tracks, but I feel if I booked that race, I took a show away from URC. And maybe I'm too nice. I don't know, but I'm just not going to do that. That's their territory. I'm a New York club that books races in New York and Canada, and we put out a schedule, and we'll roll with it and see how many races we get.
Dean, it's always good talking to you. Clinton, if you have any more for him, go ahead. But I would love to see you shoot a couple of good selfie videos from Bristol just to kind of share your experience and what that's going to be like, because I think it'll be pretty cool.
I got to learn how to do that selfie stuff. I'm not quite sure.
Well, you got to know, Dean, for us Canadian fans, it's going to be just as painful for us to miss Bristol as it would be Oswego. So you're going to have to drink all those cold ones for us when you're on your off hours. And I know a lot of even the Canadian staff from the Super Dirt Series, it's breaking their heart not to be able to go there as it stands right now. So always great talking to you. We appreciate the time. We've been trying to hook up with you for about a month now. Thanks for reaching out to me on Saturday. Let me know you're available, and we'll follow all your stories throughout the summer, Dean.
No, it's always a pleasure, guys, and thanks. Sorry we couldn't hook up a couple weeks ago, but I actually took my first vacation in 3 years and enjoyed the Chili Bowl there, and that was a lot of fun. But always a pleasure, guys. Anytime you want me on the show, just give me a shout, and then I will take some selfies. And Clinton, you did say that. We do miss our Canadian staff. There's a lot of important guys: Doug Leonard, Timmy Baltz, Mark Hitchcock, Dennis Moquin, Scotty Hinton, Deanne Hinton, Mary Hitchcock. They all come from Canada as a big part of our Super Dirt Car Series staff. And I'll tell you what, I really do miss them. It's been over a year, and let's just hope we can see all each other here in the coming months.
And after that beautiful, sincere comment, Dean, I'm going to say, if you don't like taking selfies in Bristol, take pictures of other people at Bristol. They're probably better looking than you.
I'll probably have a mask on. That helps improve my look. So, but I think we'll find a way to do a selfie or two.
Thanks, Dean. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Dean Reynolds from Super Dirt Car Series, Dirt Car Northeast, and the Empire Super Sprints joining us. Wow, Adam, what an action-packed show. I think, we only have one or two more things to get through. We're just going to throw out our Burger Barn video of the week. We'll just tell everybody, go to the Burger Barn. Great takeout. It's available right now. Make sure you stop at Petro Plus, a travel stop on your way through, and check out Burger Barn and all our great supporters on the bottom. One last thing to go through, Adam, and I'm only going to rush to this because we sent out some pictures and we did do some work on it. Racers must be really bored. Did you see what was going on with all these hashtag challenges that started about a week ago? So we'll run through them first. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, so I've been a little bit off the grid, Clinton. I don't even know if I told you this. I put in my resignation at work yesterday, so I made that official. There's just been a lot going on. I haven't been on the socials all that much. But the reason I bring it up, sadly, we're going to have to pull my ad out of rotation on G-Force. I'm Adam Ross, and I no longer sell Hino trucks.
Well, it's all right. We'll have a new Adam Ross ad up for you before too long for your new job. Let's talk about what's your challenge. So this week, race car people everywhere started with okay, ready for this, Spencer? First, I saw the hashtag rear view challenge. Show some of those pictures. Okay, so we start seeing these. Everybody's hashtagging their pictures, flooding social media with it. And then it became the front view challenge. Some guys didn't like the back lens of their car. So then we started seeing all these pictures being shown. And then I saw the belly pan challenge, which is everybody who is having bad nights at the races and showing off their belly pans. Okay?
Yeah.
And then we got to the Victory Lane challenge, which I didn't even send any pictures to Spencer because I just saw that before we came on the air. And then I saw the Sanders challenge. All these Bernie Sanders race car pictures.
Oh.
The inauguration that came out. And I think some of our favorite photographers, we need to take away their Photoshop for a week. They've overstayed their welcome. And so I just thought it was cool to see all the race people get out there, have some fun, show off their pictures. Oh, yeah, and the last one, this is all 4 off the ground challenge was another one. And these are the pictures, all 4 off the ground. So some of them are on jack stands, some of them are flying through the air. But, as I said, great to see everybody having fun with photos in the downtime here as we sit and struggle and wait to get going with our season. A lot of the tracks around here, Adam, have put out their schedules, a few more to come. For our Weekend Action Sprint Tour fans and 360 fans, we have some new stuff coming down the pipe. I think we're only less than 2 weeks away from announcing all that, Adam, and that's going to be super exciting with some new sprint car news coming here in Ontario. And I don't know. I thought we had an awesome show. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, it was action-packed.
Quick and fast. That'll wrap it up, Adam. Tell us what we're going to see on tonight's let me think. Can I get this? Grisdale Racing Products Winter Meltdown presented by London Recreational and Caldecott Millwrights. Or did I have those backwards?
You've got them backwards and you left out Super Late Model iRacing Series, but I think we can give you that. I'll tell you what to expect. More hurt feelings. Oh my good. Clint, I think people complain more about iRacing than they do about real racing.
I think it's funny because you do not love it.
They're so entitled. I do love it. It just blows my mind. I can tell you who my son Connor has been hanging out with tonight just based on the tone of the messages that he has sent to me. You get to learn people's flavor.
That's funny. That's a good way to put it. You're absolutely right. You used to yell at me because I would call it a video game. How many times a week do you find yourself telling them, it's just a video game? Doesn't matter.
No, you know what? I don't. Because perspective is so important to me. Sportsmanship is so important to me. And it's not something that comes naturally to either of my boys. They do not like losing. So that's been the biggest challenge that I have over the years with both my boys.
Well, when you put yourself in a management role of these leagues, or one that's kind of helping, let's say, guide the officials who are running it, it can become stressful because, you can't turn back time. You can't fix the wrongs. And sometimes you just find yourself in a lose-lose situation. All you can do is just smile and say, well, come back next week, guys. And that's what we'll do on the show. We'll ask you to come back next week. I want to thank Spencer for everything he does. So if you're into some more racing, hang around in about, what, we talking 10 minutes, Adam? Or does it go live right at 9?
It should be going live right away. The B main's probably on the track already.
All right, we'll get out of the way. We'll turn the channel over. Get ready for the iRacing Super Late Model Series coming up. It's Winter Meltdown, presented by Grisdale Racing Products, Caldecott Millwrights, and London Recreational here on GeForce. Thanks for watching. Thanks for our guests. Thanks, Spencer. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Have a great one.